people will noodle around with 6 milligrams per kilogram. That's fairly hypo-helpful. This is about the amount that you really want to be giving, 12 milligrams per kilogram per day. This is what's typically in a Neofax-like publication. This advice is incorrect. You really want 12 mg per kg per day. Loading dose of 25 milligrams per kilogram per day. And we just submitted to ICAC for peer review our ECMO findings, where because of the dramatic increase in the volume and distribution and the protein binding of this product, if you want to achieve an AUC of 400, this is what you want to be giving to infants, is about 25 milligrams per kilogram per day. For those of you who actually work in ECMO, if you want to see that abstract before it comes out at ICAC, just let me know. I'm not going to belabor this point too much, but if you are premature and less than 2 weeks left postnatal age, and you have a bump in your creatinine, at this point start to really think about dose adjusting. So load, but load with only 12, and then bump down. Really only do that kind of dose adjustment if your kidneys are in trouble.
It's usually, because I haven't done clinical work for a while, but you stop using comparison for people.
So AMPO is used in about, there's kind of two groups. If you look at kind of neonatal care, most groups fall into one of two options. They'll start AMPO first, and then they'll add or change over to fluconazole if they have a few days of positive cultures. The other group will start fluconazole first, and they'll add or change over to AMPO depending on the number of positive cultures. And it's fairly reasonably distributed between those two products. For somebody who's like on the cancer chemotherapeutics crowd and the transplant crowd, they've moved away from the amphotericin products to the echinocandins, which we'll get here in a minute. And they occasionally you'll see them use ABLC. What's your first line for candidemia here? Is it Amazon? So lipid complex.
Depending on the organ dysfunction.
Yeah. And if they have renal problems, you go to a echinocandin. Right. Okay. So, but you're not using conventional AMPO on the transplant patient. Right. Okay. So, whereas the neonatologist will still be using conventional AMPO because it gets it. Because of its penetration into the kidneys.
And resistance to fluconazole.
Resistance to fluconazole, the transplanters and the hem-onc crowd will probably experience that from time to time. They'll see it with Glabrata. The neonatologists very rarely see fluconazole resistance. They will occasionally see it. You could probably, their combination of Glabrata plus bump in fluconazole MICs is under 10% of their isolates nationally. Mycofungin is an echinocandin. Echinocandins, just as a reminder, act against the cell wall. As humans, we don't have a cell wall, so or most of us anyway, we don't have a cell wall, so the safety of this product is very safe in humans. So there's mycofungin, inidilofungin, caspofungin. The fluconazole work was sponsored by government dollars. This work here, Astellas paid for nursing time and samples, running the samples, but did not pay salary support. So this molecule, it looked like 3 mg per kilogram was going to be about the right dose if you extrapolate it from adults. That gives you actually really low serum levels in neonates. And when we went into the non-neutropenic bunny model, for those of you who know Tom Walsh, this was a model he initially developed. It's really his intellectual property. Mycofungin, you can find it in the CNS compartments. And if you think about therapeutics and when you're trying to get into the central nervous system, you want an animal model large enough that you can see where it's at in the different compartments, because tissue penetration in the eye is much different than tissue penetration in the brain tissue, which is different from the tissue penetration in the meninges. This product, you don't drive it into cerebrospinal fluid, but you can drive it into the brain and into brain tissue. So much like Ampho in adults doesn't get into the cerebrospinal fluid so well, but you can cure cryptococcal meningitis with it. It gets into the meninge tissues, okay? So it's tissue penetration that you want with the antifungals. And we showed that maximum effect occurs in doses of about 10 milligrams per kilogram, which is substantially different than what the company, we did not do this trial, but they've done with another group. What the company had wanted to do from kind of a marketing standpoint, they wanted it kind of to reflect what you would see in adults. And so when we gave it sequentially to bunnies, the wider this curve is here, the worse. So this is your residual fungal burden along this axis here. And this is your number of bunny brains along this axis here. If you only give 3 per kilo, you're really not clearing your candida very well. And once you get up to 9 or 12 milligrams per kilogram, you really start to push this curve over to where you want it with respect to residual fungal burden. So we, upon these data, we convinced the IRB and the Food and Drug Administration that we should be studying this drug at the level of about 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram. And that's ultimately what's probably going to end up going into the label. Children 2 to 17 years of age really should be getting a dose that's fairly close to adults. And neonatal dosing, you need to be more around 10 milligrams per kilogram for this product. Paradoxically, a year ago, there was more neonatal antifungal PK data for this product than there was for any antifungal therapeutic on the market. We're getting ready to change that again. All right, so we're going to speed up here just a little bit. Nidulafungin, we showed first in 2 to 17 years old that you really can extrapolate very quickly to adults. This is a publication that we had where we showed you can extrapolate down to 2 years of age. But we've shown subsequent to that if you use that dosing, you really are not achieving levels that you want to get into in neonates. So far with this product, we actually have not found what we believe that we can stand up from the podium and can say is the correct dose, if this happens to be the molecule that's on your formulary. Voriconazole for the transplanters here. The PK is well described for children 2 to 17 years of age. Occasionally you guys will use it in under 2 if you're transplanting children under 2 and you're worried about invasive aspergillosis. For those of you who are not trained in ID, this product did very well against amphotericin in the New England Journal of Medicine randomized trial for aspergillosis. Real survival benefits. So the pediatrician started picking this up in aspergillosis. Is it your first line therapy? Yeah, picked it up right away for aspergillosis. We certainly did. And the PK is really well worked out down to 2 to 17 years of age. In a collaboration that we did with Utah, this is mostly kind of the typical patient in this is kind of 6 to 24 months of age, unrelated cord blood transplant. There's a few neonates in here who had skin aspergillosis from around the country. We set up a collaboration with several centers where they would send us voriconazole samples from their patients in therapeutic drug monitoring. And on this axis over here is your dose, your milligrams per kilogram is along this axis over here, and this is your concentration along this axis here, okay? For those of you looking for a pattern, this kind of looks like an upside down smiley face. And that kind of looks like a footprint. But there's no correlation between levels and dosage. And so if you're using this product, especially in children under 2 years of age, you'll want to do therapeutic drug monitoring, and we're actually going to, I think, show in a follow-up work, some follow-up work, that if you're under 2, in contrast